Hello everyone and welcome back to Cyber Guardian Academy. Today, we're diving into information gathering, an essential aspect of cybersecurity and reconnaissance. So, what exactly is information gathering? Well, simply put, it's the process of collecting data about a target system, network, or organization. This data can include anything from IP addresses and domain names to employee names and email addresses. Essentially, it's the reconnaissance phase where we gather intelligence before launching any further attacks or defenses. Next, what is passive information gathering? This technique involves collecting data without directly interacting with the target. We'll explore various passive methods such as open source intelligence, which involve mining publicly available information from sources like social media, company websites, and public records. Next, what is active information gathering? Unlike passive methods, active techniques involve direct interaction with the target. We'll discuss methods such as port scanning, network mapping, and vulnerability scanning. Finally, we'll wrap up our session with a quick recap and summary. We'll highlight the key takeaways from today's tutorials and discuss how information gathering fits into the broader context of cybersecurity. So let's dive right in.
Welcome back. So, as you saw in the intro, we are going to cover these following topics. We will start with what is information gathering. Then we will discuss passive information gathering and there will be a demonstration tutorial as well. Then active information gathering. Then finally, we will recap and discuss what we did actually. So, what is information gathering? Just to be sure that we are on the same page, okay? Information gathering actually is the understanding of the potential threats, okay? It's extremely important from three different perspectives. There could be more perspectives as well, but from three main perspectives that I consider very important, they are information gathering is extremely important, okay? From cybersecurity perspective, let's say understanding the landscape of potential threats, enabling proactive defense measures. If I don't know the potential threats that I could face, for example, I would not be able to defend my network. Then it enables us to perform informed decision making. It helps us make informed decision making. Okay, so these are extremely important aspects in information gathering. And information gathering is also extremely important in reconnaissance. Okay, and what I mean by reconnaissance is like I can find, for example, I can gather the intelligence using OSINT tools, using uh, any tool, active tool, or for example, passive tool to find out about the potential target. Okay, and I can identify vulnerabilities and weaknesses as well. So in this way, we are actually able to map our potential attack surfaces. Okay. And information gathering is also extremely important from vulnerability assessment perspective as well. So it helps us in identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities, okay, based on the risk level, the risk score associated with each of these vulnerabilities. And information gathering actually assists us in understanding potential attack vectors, okay. And it's extremely important to develop the mitigation strategies. Now, let's perform information gathering passively. So this is actually a hands-on tutorial, but before that, I would like to discuss here at least the definition of what passive information gathering is. Passive information gathering involves collecting data without directly interacting with the target system or entity. Okay, it could be anything, right? So it often relies on publicly available information which is on you can find on the internet, for example, on company's website, on let's say university's website, or blogs, for example, any public source that you could find that information from. Okay, and these are some examples. So basically, who is lookup, for example, is a very basic tool that we use, for example, to retrieve information passively. ESF DNS, passive DNS, sorry, it collects DNS records, domain naming service that I mentioned earlier in other video as well. It records without directly querying DNS servers. So it doesn't leave any trace. Okay. And Google dorking, like you search, for example, on Google, for example, using different syntax, let's say. Okay, you can find different things like files, directories, vulnerability. So these are just the simple examples of this. Okay, so for example, when we start with who is lookup, okay, what does it do? What does this command do? Like who is, if we type who is example.com in Pali, what will happen? Okay, so ultimately, it will provide you the domain owner's identification. It will tell you about registration dates, and you will find more information as well. So, for example, outcome will be domain details, owner information, and what not, everything. So I will show you. I will show you. So here, for example, if I type this in Kali terminal, who is example.com, it will give me back the domain name, the registrar, okay, and the registrant name. Okay, so what will happen if you do, for example, who is, let's say, facebook.com, for example. Okay, we see it in a very quick. Okay, it's just a second. Welcome back. So as you saw in the intro, we are going to cover these following topics. We will start with what is information gathering. Then we will discuss passive information gathering, and there will be a demonstration tutorial as well. Then active information gathering. Then finally, we will recap and discuss what we did actually. So what is information gathering? Just to be sure that we are on the same page, okay? Information gathering actually is the understanding of the potential threats, okay? It's extremely important from three different perspectives. There could be more perspectives as well, but from three main perspectives that I consider very important, they are information gathering is extremely important. Okay, from cybersecurity perspective, let's say understanding the landscape of potential threats, enabling proactive defense measures. If I don't know the potential threats that I could face, for example, I would not be able to defend my network. Then it enables us to perform informed decision making. It helps us make informed decision making. Okay, so these are extremely important aspects in information gathering. And information gathering is also extremely important in reconnaissance. Okay, and what I mean by reconnaissance is like I can find, for example, I can gather the intelligence using OSINT tools, using uh, any tool, active tool, or for example, passive tool to find out about the potential target. Okay, and I can identify vulnerabilities and weaknesses as well. So in this way, we are actually able to map our potential attack surfaces. Okay, and information gathering is also extremely important from vulnerability assessment perspective as well. So it helps us in identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities, okay, based on the risk level, the risk score associated with each of these vulnerabilities. And information gathering actually assists us in understanding potential attack vectors, okay. And it's extremely important to develop the mitigation strategies. Now, let's perform information gathering passively. So this is actually a hands-on tutorial, but before that, I would like to discuss here at least the definition of what passive information gathering is. Passive information gathering involves collecting data without directly interacting with the target system or entity. Okay, it could be anything, right? So it often relies on publicly available information, which is on, you can find on the internet, for example, on company's website, on, let's say, university's website, or blogs, for example, any public source that you could find that information from. Okay, and these are some examples. So basically, who is lookup, for example, is a very basic tool that we use, for example, to retrieve information passively. ESF DNS, passive DNS, sorry, it collects DNS records, domain naming service that I mentioned earlier in other video as well. It records without directly querying DNS servers. So it doesn't leave any trace. Okay. And Google dorking, like you search, for example, on Google, for example, using different syntax, let's say. Okay, you can find different things like files, directories, vulnerability. So these are just the simple examples of this. Let's go and check. So here, for example, on this Windows display, I show you here I have Kali. You, you have seen this Kali interface a lot of time. Here I have my presentation open, and this one is Ubuntu. Okay. Uh, so this setup you already know about these virtual machines. Now I need Kali and I want to demonstrate these commands, how to run these commands. Okay. So the purpose of who is lookup is to obtain domain registration information. So I mean, how, for example, we will see the outcome of this command. Okay, and it will show us, the domain owners, the registration dates, and there will be a lot of information that we can collect, for example. So then the syntax of this command is whoisexample.com. So here you can use, for example, any website that you want to get the who is lookup for. It could be a university. You can find, all these the websites of the universities, of different Amazon.com, for example, or any website. For example, I am here showing you about google.com, let's say, or facebook.com. So who is this is the syntax. I'm asking, for example, who is minus h, who is dot verisign jrs minus dot com, and about facebook.com. So let's check its output. Here, the output shows that domain name. So here you see what to do. For example, if you wrote this command, who is example.com, and you will get domain details. So this is your domain name, facebook.com, and registration owner information. So registry domain is like this one, you can see, for example, and this is your who is server. Okay, and it has a registrar. Okay, and URL is this registrarsafe.com. Updated date, this is the date, for example, it was updated on, and the creation was like 26 years ago, for example, and registry expiry date is 2032. So you can find, different records for this who is lookup command. Okay, so this is how you can play with who is lookup. There are so many things. You can find different domain names as well. Like here you see, for example, for Facebook, you have domain status, client delete, prohibited. Okay, yeah, registrar ID, INA ID is this. Lot of information. Name server, these are naming servers. Okay, DNS. Naming servers, a.ns.facebook.com. Another name server is b.ns.facebook.com. So you can find different domain owners, registration dates, and many more information about any domain that you are searching for using whoislookup. Similarly, if I do this for example, google.com, let's say, what can I find? Google.com. Okay. So google.com, here you see the database. Registry domain is this. Registry who is server? Yes, it is whois.markmonitor.com, and it has this website. You could go on this website and check what are the services provided by this website, for example. And it was updated on 2019, created on like 26 years ago, 27 years ago, and it is going to expire on 14th of September 2028. So like this, for example, you can find name servers, you can find registration, you can find expiry date, you can creation date, update date. So you can find a lot of information about any domain, okay, on this. Now, the next slide is, for example, discovering DNS records from a domain. So you will find these things a lot. If you find it will show you, it will tell you that it has a domain name. Okay, map domain names to IPv4 address. It's called a record actually. And 4 times this record shows IPv6 address. It maps domain name to IPv6. Then you have canonical name, CNAME it is called. We will see them in detail here. So there are like several tools, for example, I'm clearing it the outcome now. So you can use, for example, just for an example, I have NSLOOKUP, dig, and host. Okay, these are different tools that you could look for DNS enumeration, okay, to find the records related to DNS. So the very first command is like host, for example. Okay, so if I use host command, let's see what it prints, what it gives us. So basically, for me, the purpose of this command is to discover DNS records for a domain using the host command. Okay, so if I print host www.google.com, let's see what it comes up with. So www.google.com has address 2216.216.58.204.132. So this host command gives me, for example, the the A record of IPv4. Okay, so it is mapping, this domain name www.google.com to IPv4 address, which is 216.58.204.132. Okay, and for example, it has IPv6 address of this one 2A00, for example. Okay, so if it had a mail server, it would have given us a mail server as well. We will discuss in detail. Now, for example, if I do it for Facebook, let's say, what it gives, Facebook.com. So it should give me, yeah, you see here, it has is an alias for a star mini facebook.com. Okay, so and it has IP address of 31.13.86.36. So here you have found another entry which is called alias, and the name of that server is this one, starmini.c10r.facebook. Fine. So we can find, for example, IP address related to a domain by using host command or by using simple ping command as well. Ping www.facebook.com, for example, but this will not give me IPv6 address. Sure. So, right. So you can get, for example, the IP address 31.13, which you got already here. Similarly, so we can find, for example, the IP address IPv4, IPv6 using host command, and also the alias if there is any with host command. Okay. Then we have NS lookup. What this NS lookup does? Okay, it gathers information about DNS records associated with a domain. And we will see, let's say we have been talking about google.com, let's say about facebook.com. Let's see if we get, if we do NS lookup, what we get. Okay, so here you see, it will be helping us to identify subdomains, mail servers, and other DNS related issues as well. Okay, details as well. You can simply write NS lookup www.facebook.com. Let's say how the output looks like this. So NS lookup www.facebook.com. Server here you can see is 192.168.1.1. This is actually my gateway, which is taking me out of my home to the internet, which connects me to the internet. And this one is the same server, but I'm connected on port number 53. Okay, so this is just how to interpret the outcome of this. Okay, and this is non-authoritative answer because I didn't get, the direct response from this server. Okay, so I am getting this information from my gateway, which actually knows about this server. Okay, so it is called non-authoritative answer. Here, yeah. So you can see, for example, this is more detailed output. So we have three main important points here. We got server information, which is DNS server 192.168.1.1. This is my gateway. I would repeat it again. And it is connected on 53. It is getting, the response from 53 port, right? Then we have non-authoritative answer here. Okay, and it says it has a canonical name of this. It has star mini c, this one, like we already saw, for example, in the previous host command. And it has IP address of this 31.13.86.36. But who has written this record? Okay, so my server, my gateway knows actually this server is star.mini, and it has taken the response from it. And we have IPv6 address of 2A03, this one. Okay, so good, we are good. Then we have the output, for example, here you have seen server used for the lookup is 192 perfect, and the response was obtained from DNS cache or a secondary server. That is why it's called non-authoritative answer. So if it was authoritative answer, it would have directly come from this address. Okay. So the domain name is this, and it has a canonical name. Canonical name means it has an alias, okay, like you saw in the host command of star dash mini c10 like this. Now, this is IPv4 address that you are seeing here, 31.13.86.36, and this one is the IPv6 address of Facebook.com. Fine. So you can use, so we can simply use NSLOOKUP, we can use ping, we can use tracert, we can use, I mean, with tracert is not a passive command actually, but we can use different commands like dig, for example, also to find out about the DNS records. Okay. So next command is dig. Yes. So the syntax of this command is same dig www.facebook.com. Let's see what it gives. So we need to understand this output, okay? So when we did dig www.facebook.com, okay, the output is comprising of four parts. So first part is global option, this one, okay, dig this, the journal information, I would say. Then we have opt sudo section, then we have answer section, and then you have all these details. So I have here extracted the extremely important information for you to understand this, okay? So when you queried about this domain, www.facebook.com, it showed no error. Okay, so here, for example, you see no error. So what does it mean? It means that it is up, it is not down. And this was the query that you sent, 36060. Okay, so here its query ID is this. Okay, and then the answer section, if you go into this section, these are different details of cookie, for example, and lot of things. But here in answer section is important. So you have this domain 343529, for example, is this, and you have the CNAME, canonical name that we were talking about. Okay, and then you have the IP address. And remember, I was saying like a record, for example. This record A shows you that it is mapping DNS mapping, sorry, IP address to domain name. Okay. Then in the query time says like only 20 milliseconds were used, for example, to get the reply. And we were using UDP. I showed you we were using 53, port number 53, which is actually UDP. Yeah, here it can be seen. Then we have, the time as well when we sent this query and we received size of the received message is 118 bytes. Fine. So this way, for example, we can understand different things. Similarly, we can exploit also DNS recon. So this DNS recon is also a very important tool. For example, if I clear it and if I clear it and yeah, let's start, for example, DNS recon. So this command, for example, recon, if you do -h, you should be able to get the help. Okay, so what does it mean? It tells us that if we want to search for domain, okay, we need to add this -d switch. Okay, and if we want to do it for a particular range of IP, for example, we can do it. So here you can also find the different the explanation of all these switches, okay, or all these flags. So yeah, -f, for example, filter out brute force domain lookups, -a, perform AXFR with standard numeration. There are many things that you can explore, okay? You can also write this output as a CSV file or as a JSON file or as a XML file, whatever way you would like to. You can also check the version of it, but I'm not sure if you need to install it. So if you find, for example, DNS Recon, if you don't find it on your tally, let's say, you are required to do only, sudo apt-get, sorry, sudo apt-get update or apt-get update, yes. So this command will update and then you need to install it, okay? Sudo apt-get install this DNS recon. So it will be fine. But suppose you have this, so then, for example, DNS recon, and it should give me, if I do -d, means I'm searching for a domain, and domain name is this www.facebook.com. Just giving you an example. Okay, sorry. Yeah, here, for example, with DNS Recon, you can see that we have, uh, you know, we have got this output, and it is saying DNSSEC is not configured for this www.facebook.com. It's perfectly fine, but we can find different records like here start of authority SOA. Okay, and SOA has this IP address 129.34 134.30.12, and it has a record. This is a IPv6 address of this SOA authority. Then this canonical name we already found from other commands like dig and like from host. And then we have here the IP address of this canonical server, and we have AAA record. Okay, and we have this one as well. It is called SFS record, and no service records found for www.facebook.com. Okay, so the point here is by using this command, okay, we have identified the start of authority SOA server. Okay, we have the canonical name of this server. Okay, and we have IP address of this server. Okay, this one 31.13, and we have SFS records as well. So this way we can play with DNS records, for example, and we can get the information we want, right? So these three, four methods that I showed you, host, dig, NSLOOKUP, DNSRECON, for example, or there are other tools as well. I leave those tools for your assignment. For example, you can use Multigo, you can use Shodan, for example. They are GUI based tools actually. You could use them. And now we are moving to information gathering, but with, I mean, actively. Okay, what active means? We are going to, we are going to gather this information by probing our target system, okay, or a network and collect data. So it means we will leave our traces while doing so. Okay. So here, for example, I would like to request you to get a permission if you want to scan or you want to get to perform active information gathering for a company. But that's why what I have already proposed is create your own, for example, testing lab like I have created, and play with your own devices, play with your own machines, for example. So I have here with Ubuntu as well. I have another virtual machine as well, which I called Metasploitable. Uh, and I can, for this active information gathering tool, for example, I can try with my internal network. Okay. So I'm clearing it now. And now we have so many methods. For example, we have so many tools that we could exploit for active information gathering, like Nmap, network mapper, for example. Okay, and its purpose is to find network scanning and host discovery. It will scan, the target system. I can just give you an example. So here, for example, if I write nmap, um, yeah, if you want to take help, for example, you can simply go with this H, and it will give you a lot of options. You can play with it. Okay, so clearing it again, I'm just want to show you how it works. So nmap minus H, nmap is space. Let's say if I do minus O, I will tell you later, but okay, at this stage I can tell you that this minus O will give me, the operating system of my target machine. Okay, so here, for example, my target machine is 192.168.54.3. Mind you, this is the IP address of my Metasploiter. Okay. So when I do this, for example, it it sorry, it requires root privileges. So I need to do sudo nmap minus o and 3, my password. And here you see the scanning has started, and nmap scan report for this machine. Host is up, fine, and all 100, or sorry, 1000 ports were scanned, and they are in ignored states. We will discuss these ignored states in scanning in the next lab, for example, that I'm planning to conduct. And here we have 1000 closed TCP ports. The MAC address of that machine is this. And here too many fingerprints match the source to give specific OS details. What does it mean? It performed this, and yeah, just a second. Let's go with 4 because it's this Ubuntu actually. It doesn't have a vulnerability. So you see here, it has all in ignored states, but that's why we have metasploitable. No, so metasploitable is a intentionally made vulnerable machine. So if you click this, if you dot 4 for example, if you type this command, what it will do, it will give us the details of all these ports plus operating system. So here you see Linux 2.6.x is running on that machine, and OS kernel is 2.6, and this is actually these are the OS details, and network distance is just one hop away. So I'm directly connected to this machine. Okay, and here all these ports you see here, they are open. So we will play with these the nmap, especially. I want to create a complete lib using nmap. Okay, so here I'm clearing it again. So this way, for example, you can understand different vulnerabilities, different things about your target. Like we saw, for example, which operating system is installed on our target machine. And we saw different ports that were open as well. Okay. Similarly, we can use hping command. It is also, active information gathering tool, and you can play with this hping 3, for example. And so here you see hping 3, it will ping actually the target IP. So, and -c, I have already told you about this. So -3 means it counts 3. It will send 3 packets, for example. Port number 80 on -p is the another, for example, flag. Port number 80, and here it will give you the IP that you will get. Okay, so if you want, for example, hping 3 faster, so I have added this faster because it's a bit slow. And 4, for example, if you want me to do this -p as well, I will do -p 80, and operation not permitted, I need to do sudo. Okay, so here you see no flags are set. 40 headers, hping 192.168.50 It actually is a slow command. So, but useful. I'm stopping it just to save the time. You see here we have a lot of output. Okay, Control C, clear, and because I didn't give this -C3, so it just busted, a lot of traffic to the target machine. Similarly, we have netcat as well. You can use multiple tools. Okay, but apart from these example tools that you can play with, for example, uh, I showed you here nmap, hping, netcat. We can discuss these in the next slide, in the next video as well. There are other tools as well. For example, net discover. Okay, so if I want to discover my network, identify the live hosts, for example, the hosts that are up, the hosts that are down, for example. Okay, I will be able to, I can use net discover to do so. So if I do net discover here, for example, and basically 192.168.54.0/24, I'm on this network actually, and you can check -r. What does this mean? It is a range of IP addresses. Okay, so even sorry, I need to use sudo. Okay, so here it has started, and what it will do, it from this pool 192.168.54.0, for example, /24, what it will do, it will send pings to every device, every machine. Okay, and based on the reply, it will come up with the the decision that okay, these things are up and these are not up. Okay, so here, for example, if I click Control C, why it didn't capture, I really don't know. Let me see. Let me do it again for another IP address. Let's say 10.0.2. So this interface is a net interface connected with the internet. If I do this for this IP address range, for example, let's see what it happens. Yeah, so it finds something, and here you see you have three IP addresses. Okay, three machines in running condition. One 10.0.2.1 is the IP address of this Kali, the IP address of the gateway that connects Kali to the internet. And this 2, for example, I don't know. And 10.2.3, I don't know. We can search. Okay. So if I do minus route minus n, for example, enter. So here you see this 10.0.2.1 is my gateway. And I'm connected on this network 10.0.2.0. The subnet mask of this is 255.255.255.0. Also, I'm connected on this, for example, Ethernet 0, Ethernet 1 to this network 192, where I have Ubuntu and Metasploitable connected. Okay, but it was taking longer, so I did this. I used this network to scan it. Clear? Now we have similarly WhatWeb. WhatWeb is a very powerful web scanner. Okay, there is another called DIRB as well. Maybe if I check DIRB, yes, there are many. So DIRB, for example, if I search, do this information for 192.168.54.4, for example, this is my Metasploitable. So here you see what is it doing. This DIRB is scanning for vulnerabilities on this machine. And what is it doing? For example, it is checking every directory, every folder, every node, for example, in that particular directories, every file, and it will come up with a detailed report. This report, you can simply write this report as well using simple command. I can tell you. So here, Control Z, I stopped it here. And if you, for example, here write, let's say, dirb space 192, we can take the help as well. Dirb minus h, sorry, dirb manual, dirb. Just a second. Yeah, this one. So with dirb, for example, you see, dirb is a web content scanner. It looks for existing web objects. It basically work by launching attacks, dictionary-based attack against a web server and analyzing the response. Okay, so it's a very powerful tool that you could use. And here, minus V shows you non-existent pages. There are many flags that you could search, you could play with, for example. So if you can search with for headers, you can search for use case sensitive, insensitive search, for example, location as well. There minus L, you will find where this server is located, for example. Output file, there are many things that you can explore. Username, minus V show not existing pages, and also like you can save this output as well as a text file, for example, or okay. So clear. Similarly, I will tell you here how to write this code. So now let's say what web. Okay, what web, and if I do this 192.168.54.4, this is again the IP address of my Metasploitable. If I click this, what is it doing? It is similar to DIRB. It is scanning, the web. Okay, and it will identify all the technologies being used and the information about the version and potential vulnerabilities. Okay, so here you can see yeah, this is TCP, this is HTTP header 200. Okay, it means we have received the response. Country is reserved, it's not explained. And HTTP server is Ubuntu, Linux, Apache is installed. And there are its title is Metasploitable. So a lot of information is written. So if you just want to use, for example, minus V, what it will do, it will make this readable. Okay. So if you click minus V, you see now it's better readable. So here the Apache is installed. The Apache is you can read, for example, the version as well. Okay, which version of Apache is installed, and HTTP server has Ubuntu Linux installed, and it has this server string. Similarly, PHP is installed on this, okay? And web-based distributed authoring and versioning, a lot of things you can find. And this is HTTP header that, for example, you managed to send, okay? So I'm clearing it again. Okay. Similarly, you can use a lot of tool with, for example, what web, if I want to, because, you know, if I want to actively gather information about some domain, for example, let's say www dot let's say unity.it. So this is a university in Trento. If I check this, and sorry, if I do this -v so that it should be readable, or for any university that I would like to search for. It will take some time, but this way we can perform this what web vulnerability scanning. There are different aggression levels for this. Okay, so say it's forbidden and we were unable to get a lot of information about it. But if we search for other university, let's say from Pakistan, KFUIT, not India. Actually, this university I have worked for, so I think they will not kill me. www.kfueit.edu.pk. I'm searching for it. Let's see. So, but here you see I have found the IP address of that machine. Okay. So, is it still scanning? Yes, HTTP server. So we have found this. You see, a summary HTTP server, and this server, for example, has 1.1.8.12 installed. Redirect location, there is some redirection look is also scanned is there as well. So HTTP server, we can find, the operating systems and everything about different, server, and IP address is returned, and the country is Pakistan. Okay, so we have managed to get some information. Okay, and yeah, and we have another web page here, for example, and we can play with this using different what web switches. Okay, so here a lot of things we have obtained, IP addresses and the summary as well for all the servers that are connected, and to be honest, a lot of information. Okay, so similarly we can exploit what web as well, but potentially please use this for to explore metasploit. Then we have mass scan. Okay, so this mass scan is also a high-speed TCP port scanner. Okay, so it searches for TCP ports, for example, and if they are open or not. So it is designed to scan the entire internet as fast as possible, allowing researchers to quickly identify open ports and potential vulnerabilities across a wide range of ports. So here I'm trying to use mass scan, let's say, but for -p one to not you know scanning all 65,000 ports, but just 1,000 ports, and of what, of this metasploitable. Okay, 168.54.4. Let's see, mission denied. I need to put sudo. Yeah, so discover port number 25 open. Okay, and port number 23 also open, port number 445 also open. So most of the TCP ports are open. Okay, and yeah, so all these ports are open, which actually could lead to hijacking, to hacking this machine. We will do this hacking in the next lab. Okay, so, and Wireshark, if you have not seen the previous video, please go and check this Wireshark. I have, tried to explain how Wireshark would be used to capture traffic, for example, and different packets. And from packets, you can learn, different IP addresses, MAC addresses of the machines, about different protocols, different IPs, for example. Okay, so Wireshark, I assume you have already covered. Then another tool is burp suit. Okay, so burp suit is extremely important tool. It can capture, you can try to capture all the traffic between you and your web server, between the host and the target machine and the web server. Okay, so Burpsuit is an extremely useful proxy machine that you can capture the traffic between those two machines, and you can do redirection, you can do injection, whatever. And this tool also you could use, for example, to hack someone's computer. Control Z, and this one also, like, I don't think it's yeah, I can show you very, very quickly. Just I make it big. So here, for example, what I have done is I have opened www.unibis.it. So this is the page of Unibis, okay, on Firefox. And here you see I have received, this is the request that I sent, and its reply should be the response. So this is the response, and so you see here you have, you know, the headers of all these HTTP. So we can discuss this HTTP version 1.1 or 2 later, maybe in the upcoming videos. But here, for example, you can see that we have captured the HTTP packet, which was supposed to be received by the client. Okay, so this way you can play with this burp suit as well. Burp suit is also used to capture packets exactly like Wireshark is used to. Okay, so here, yeah, here. Okay. So now, similarly, Metasploit framework. Okay, so Metasploit framework is also used for active information gathering. It is also called a penetration testing and exploitation framework. Okay, identify vulnerabilities and launch attacks. Okay, we can use it for. And you need to use this MSF console. We will discuss this in the next lab, which will be about scanning and about penetration testing. Okay, and the harvester. Harvester is also an extremely important tool. Okay, and it's an open source tool actually. So like if I here for example, the harvester minus D, which is the domain 192.168.54.4, for example. And if I do this, what it will give me, like, because it's a meta exploitable machine, okay, it didn't give anything. But if I search for a university, let's say here, the harvester here, for example, www.this.iobm.edu.pk is also another university in Pakistan. If I do this minus B means which and space Google, for example, we can play with this. The harvester, yeah, sorry, you can you can play with these switches. So this domain is simply www.iobm.pk, edu.pk, and minus B means the search engine where I'm going to search, and all means everything, Google, whatever social sites are available. So if you click this, for example, it should bring me some information. Let's see what it brings. It may take some time. So it's searching on Bing, it's searching on Anubis, for example, and got more than 8190 bytes. Okay, problem, no problem. Here is dumper, it is searched as well. Okay, and an exception has occurred. Blah blah. These are different warnings that you could simply ignore. But it is searching on hacker target because we have added this all as a switch. For example, it is searching for everything. But you can limit this search to only Google. If you had applied Google, for example, you could have got only Google. Okay, so maybe it is taking longer, but it will return you some information. This is 100% sure. Okay, yeah. So here, for example, the outcome you could see here. Okay, so it managed to find some websites, IPs. So you see here three IPs, 192 something. If I need to make it big, for example, here it has, sorry, it has found these IPs 202.69.33.203.54. These are the different IPs that it has found. And the most important thing is it has found a lot of email addresses. So here you see academics at IOBM, admissions, Asad.Hussain. So from here I can actually find the individual targets as well. So Asma Rahman, all these Ikhlaq, Shiraz.Hamid. Now if I take this name and search it on the internet, for example, I'll be able to find the details of this person, for example, for a targeted attack. So good. And here, yes. So it is still running, so I want to stop it now. Clear. And then we have ReconNG, Web Reconnaissance Framework. Okay, you can also use this ReconNG, for example, for reconnaissance framework. It's a reconnaissance framework, and you can play with as well. So it's simply you need to use Recon. Then we have Nmap. I told you that this is an active scanning tool, network mapper. We could use, for example, we already used -O for operating system finding, and we managed to find the operating system of Metasploitable. Okay, but there are very a long list of commands that you could use. For example, if I use nmap help manual, for example, manual nmap. So you should be able to see here the purpose of this nmap is an open source tool for network exploration and security auditing. So the output from nmap is a list of scanned targets with supplemental information on each lot of information. Okay. And here, there you will find different switches. So here, one more thing I would like to add is you can use Nmap for for stealth scanning as well. What I mean by stealth scanning, so we are talking about active information gathering, right? So what does it mean? It means that all these traces that we are doing, for example, these traces are saved from the server's logs. They can find who pinged those machines or who got the information. Okay, but if you use nmap in stealth mode -ss, for example, switch, their server will not be able to record. Okay, so there are different things that we could play with it. So here it's example, if you see a representative nmap scan, nmap -a. So this switch, for example, -a, scanme.nmap.org, T4. This is the report. Host is up. DNS record is this IP address, and it's make it this name server, name service, and 999 5 closed ports. TCP is open because most of our you know in remote work, we always have to keep this port open. And this operating system has 2.6, for example, this is a complete scan, for example. So I can show you here, for example, what is this, what are these switches for? So if you find SP, small s and a T, okay, host recovery, yes, here you see SN, SPPA, PU, PV, PE, S minus ST. Basics, okay, standing techniques, minus ST here. So TCP connect scan is the default TCP scan type when sync scan is not an option. This is the case where when a user, for example, here, when a user does not have raw packet privileges. Instead of writing raw packets as most other scan types do, Nmap asks the underlying operating system to establish a connection with the target machine and port by issuing the connect system. So you see here, there are many techniques, for example, that we can play with. And there are many scanning techniques, SS, SU, all the UDP ports you could scan, for example. And you have this SY, SCTP is a relatively new alternative to the TCP and UDP protocols, combining mostly TCP and UDP and also adding new features. I would suggest you to play with this to check, all these things. With window scan, with acknowledgement scan, and SM, lot of things. And the very good thing is you can write, all this report, okay? And OS detection minus O we already tried, for example. Again, I would say there is a lot of content that we could explore, okay? So, okay, so here we are. Then we have, there are so many commands that you could play, for example, with. And then HPing we already checked. No need to repeat this again. And Netcat also is a network utility for reading, writing data across different networks. It also performs port scanning, banner grabbing, and creating, for example, reverse shells as well. So these are the very important utilities that you could play, for example, with. So here, just giving you an example, connection refused minus V. So connection refused, yeah. So not just one more try, 192.160 minus V is simply for verbose output. Inverse host lookup failed, unknown host, no ports to connect to IET32, let's say. So you see here, it's trying to connect to this machine, which is our Ubuntu, okay? Because the port 22 was open, that's why. Now, finally, Control Z. Finally, we have DEN twist, DNS twist as well. So this DNS twist also detect squatting, phishing, and brand impersonation, generate domain variations and check their availability. This is also a very important tool that we could play, for example, with. Okay, so clearing it again. DNS twist, if we do it for Facebook.com, for example, let's see what it brings up with. So it will take a lot of time because it has started 6 scanner threads and 20% of this found ETA, speed. So it's actually performing DNS record information, okay? Identifying threads and similar domains. I'm stopping it here. I don't want to get caught by Facebook. Clear. And here, for example, if we do here the same for meta-exploitable. Let's see if it is runnable or not. 54.4, for example. Yeah, so it's not a domain, to be honest, yes. But maybe here I did this for you. So here you see there is a lot of information that we got, okay? So about, you see here, there are so many IP addresses. This MX, this record for MX I was talking about, you remember? So this MX, for example, here, MX. Yeah, this one. So MX is a mail exchange record. It will provide you the record for mail servers of this domain, right? So yeah, here. So I would say practice makes you better. Practice is always important. So just to with this demonstration, we have reached the end of this presentation, and just to quickly recap what we did. We started our discussion with information gathering. What is information gathering and why is it important? If you have not yet seen that previous video on information gathering, I would strongly suggest to go on this video and check. And I have discussed all these details there as well, but this is a practical demonstration, so I cannot repeat everything. And here we discussed, the why passive information is important. Passive information gathering is important, okay? And we discussed different tools, for example, to gather passive information. We also discussed, different tools for active information gathering as well. Multiple tools we saw, Dentist we saw WhatWeb, we saw Airbo, we saw DNS, NS lookup. For example, we checked a lot of things, okay? So with this, I think we are done with this video. I hope you will find this video interesting and useful. If you have any questions, just leave me, your questions in my comments. I will try to answer each of those questions. And if you like this video, like the information in this video, please like this video, share and subscribe. Share this video to your friends and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much. And until next time, bye.